An outburst in the courtroom overshadows the closing arguments in Phase 2 of the Aurora Theater shooting sentencing. I'm Marshall Zelinger outside the Arapahoe County Courthouse, and in the middle of the prosecution's closing statements, a woman in the back, a couple rows behind me, stood up and shouted something to the effect of, "I am the birth mother, she is the surrogate," in reference to the defendant and his mom. Apparently, when she finally was grabbed, she had climbed over 2 rows of seats and was detained by deputies 1 row behind me. One deputy had her by the arms, another deputy by the legs, and as she was being escorted out, she screamed, "Don't kill him." Now that interrupted George Brockler's closing statement to the jury, and they were clearly distracted by what had happened, and Brockler had asked the judge for a couple moments to compose himself because the jury was still looking at the doorway, as you could hear her still screaming out in the hallway. Afterwards, we learned from the judge that this is someone who had identified herself to deputies as someone who had been homeless, and they had had problems with her in the past, or she at least was known by the deputies as someone who could cause problems, but she had been in the courtroom for the last few days and had not caused any problems and was allowed in the courtroom because it's a public forum. Again, today is the closing statements for Phase 2 of the sentencing. This is when the jury has to decide if the mitigating factors presented by the defense outweigh the aggravating factors that had been previously presented by the prosecution, and they are now deliberating in the first hour of this deliberation of Phase 2.